G'day everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Aussie Investing Machine. Thank you so much for joining me. In this episode, I wanted to take a look at the most recent addition to my portfolio, a company called Polynovo. Now, I'm sure you would have heard me talk about Polynovo before on the channel, and for me personally, a good opportunity came up after the company had a recent mini crash in their share price. It's since picked up, but I'd like to go over why I purchased the company, why I think they're so strong, and where I think they're headed in the future. Now, of course, this is not a stock recommendation or financial advice. So please, before making any financial decisions, please do your own research and also consult a licensed financial advisor. I might kick things off just by having a quick look at my portfolio. As we can see here, here's that most recent addition, Polynovo Limited. I purchased them for an average price of $2.71, now trading at $2.85, although earlier in the week they actually hit $3, so it was looking like a great buy. It's still up 5% in such a short period of time, so happy with that. And I think we'll continue to see quite good growth out of the company for some reasons which I'll go over shortly. It's making up quite a large percentage of my portfolio at 12%, but this is sort of consistent with how I'd like to structure my portfolio going forward, having a smaller amount of companies in the portfolio with bigger stakes in each. Now, one piece of information that gave me some real conviction about Polynovo was, in fact, this interview here on YouTube. This is actually a channel put together by Chris Judd, who you might know from Australian Rules Football, and Chris Judd interviews David Williams, who's the chairman of Polynovo. I would really take some time to watch this if you are interested in Polynovo. David Williams does a great job of breaking down exactly what the company does and his expectations of where it's going. Some really interesting points in there, which I will touch on. So over on Polynovo's results page, I'll talk a little bit about what they do, and then also touch on where they're going, how they're set up, what sort of capital expenditure they're spending to get their operations scaling. And then we'll also talk about their market penetration, how they're going in Australia, how they're going in the US, and what the latest news was this week that pushed their share price up to $3. So this slide talks about their top line. I've actually shown this on the channel a few times before, especially in some of the live streams. You can see this photo on the right shows their main product, which is this synthetic membrane, which can be used to cover particularly burn wounds, hernias, and it actually integrates with the body, and the dermal cells grow in and around this product, and it essentially buys time for surgeons to do skin grafts. They don't need to do it immediately like they would in typical circumstances. This buys them some time and allows the body to heal in a better way. When we listen to their chairman speak, he talks about how much surgeons actually love this product. Most surgeons that specialize in this area know about the product and they're very excited about it. They don't really have any real competitors. Their competitors they have similar products, but they're biologically based. So it might be like a pig skin graft, for example, and obviously obtaining and manufacturing that type of product is particularly difficult. The Polynovo product, on the other hand, is very easy to manufacture because it's synthetic. Now, in terms of production, that's what is captured on this slide. So you can see here, the final factory area for film extrusion will be finished in March 2021. They've got extrusion machines in Scoresby at the moment, and they'll be brought to the new facility they've just finished building in Port Melbourne. And that new facility cost around $10 million. So in the scheme of things, that's not a lot of money for your main manufacturing facility. And their chairman was saying that this will increase output significantly and they will easily meet the current market demand with that Port Melbourne facility. The other thing I really like about this is that it's local. So any geopolitical tensions won't have any impact on Polynovo's production. I think that's a real strength. So this slide talks about how their sales are going, but I think The really key thing here that their chairman talks about, you won't find it so much in their investor presentation, is that their margin on the product, because it is a synthetic, quite easy to manufacture product, is something like 90+%. Now, what this allows them to do is aggressively drop prices if they need to, if they're faced by any competition in the future. It also means that they can quickly become profitable, but David Williams says he's not focused on profitability. If there's an opportunity to grow the business and expand into a new market, he'll take that opportunity first instead of focusing on becoming profitable. However, in light of this, he does expect the company will become profitable by 2022. I just wanted to draw your attention to the US sales back on this first slide, up 41%. Now, the other interesting point, extracting from that Chris Judd interview, the chairman made a very interesting point. He said he hasn't seen a surgeon who's had a trial of the Polynovo product not use it after doing that trial. So I guess surgeons, when they get the product in hand and they actually use it, which is a process that could take many months, essentially they become an instant customer, which is a huge positive for the company. Obviously, it means they've got quite a good product and the surgeons are very much interested in using what they're offering. Now, just to bring that into context, here's some of the news we saw released in the past few days. The title of this article is Polynovo pens dermal scaffold deal with Premier. Now, Premier is a healthcare company in the US, and they essentially buy in bulk at a reduced price and then distribute the product to different hospitals and clinics. So we can see the key points here. Polynovo has signed a deal with group purchasing organisation Premier for the supply of Novasorb, which is that material we're talking about. Novasorb is a dermal scaffold that helps regenerate skin. The agreement between Polynovo and Premier allows member hospitals access to the BTM, which is the Polynovo product, at special pricing and terms negotiated with Polynovo. And Polynovo sales teams will now be able to enter hospitals that were previously restricted. So that's opening up more growth opportunity for Polynovo. And yeah, at the time of this article coming out, they were trading at $2.95. We saw that's rolled off again, but really exciting to see it get close to that $3 mark again. The big thing here is that this is obviously in the US, and I think everybody knows that yes, Polynovo is doing well in Australia, but the US market is where the money is. It's so big, so much bigger than Australia's market. And the chairman, David Williams, is talking about how they can break into that market and begin to really build their market share. And this obviously looks like a great deal, which will allow them to do that and get into some hospitals that they previously not allowed to go into. Really interesting article. Encourage you to read this one if you are interested in Polynovo. And it was actually listed, if we have a look at up market index, it was an ASX announcement here, which gives you more details as well. Now, in terms of when I purchased Polynovo, I mentioned it was at about that $2.71 mark. We could have got them at a low of $2.40, you can see here. $2.71 was around here, so just on the upswing. It had just crossed the moving average, so that was one of my key signals. But what gave me a lot of confidence in buying this stock was actually a director transaction. And if we have a look down here, we can see this director share purchase David Williams, 2 entries, and that was early March. If we have a look how much he actually bought, we can see 100,000 shares in that transaction, and then in this one 300,000 shares, and I think he bought in at $2.50. So we're talking almost $800,000 or more worth of shares purchased by the chairman. So this is clearly someone who's got a lot of conviction in the company that he's essentially managing. And then to hear him talk on this Masters of the Market episode with Chris Judd gave me a lot of conviction about the company. I really think they're a pioneering Australian biotechnology company with a physical product which is appreciated by surgeons globally, with a new facility in Port Melbourne ready to scale up production. And now we're seeing surgeries open up again, as the pandemic is brought under control, especially in Australia. So for me, yeah, I think Polynovo was a great addition to my portfolio, and I'm really excited for what the next 5-10 years brings for the company. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave me a comment below. Maybe you've got Polynovo in your portfolio. I'd really like to know, is there anything that's holding you back from investing, or is there any reasons that I haven't mentioned which makes it an appealing investment for you? As I said, drop a comment below, and until next time, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.